So now we're getting to the top 15. We do have the New England Patriots here, but they honestly could be flipped with anybody on this list, to be honest, because this team is either going to be good or this team's honestly going to be bad. I think they added Juju in free agency,
Yeah.
and then but Mac Jones is just so
They ruined him. They ruined him. They ruined his confidence because they took him out, benched him for Bailey Zapp for a couple of games.
yeah.
And then there was a couple of games where Bailey Zapp wasn't really playing well, and they put Mac Jones back in.
Oh, and their offensive coordinator was terrible, and their offensive weapons were terrible, and it was just a mess.
Yeah.
And then they probably derailed his career, to be honest.
There's
That
just
might be what do
yeah.
you say?
I was just saying there's not really a
A
lot
lot to
of
fix.
receiving options on their team either. I mean, I think they have Devontae Parker, but
Yeah, and they got Juju as well, like I said.
I mean, but I don't feel like that's enough.
Yeah,
I don't feel like that's enough.
yeah,
And they lost
that's
Kobe Myers to the
mhm,
Raiders actually. So
yeah.
yeah,
And they
um,
lost Nelson Aguilar to the Ravens. So I don't know. I mean, this defense is usually pretty good for them,
mhm.
but their offense is ever since Brady, it's just kind of been
Yeah, yeah,
bad. Just to keep it simple. And
yeah.
yet we've only beat them once out of the two times we've played them. So yeah, I think they destroyed Mac Jones's confidence. I don't think he was that good to begin with, but I mean, I think that he really is not going to be good this year, to be honest. But I guess honestly, I feel like 15 is too high. Like we could probably switch them out with the Browns for 17.
Okay.
So I think we might switch them. So I think that the Pats are going to be 17, Browns are going to be 15. Honestly, no. Let's switch them out with the Browns, but then put them down one. So the Steelers are going to be 17, the Pats are going to be 18. Because I don't know, I really don't believe in the Patriots enough to be a top 15 team. So we're going to scratch that. And Patriots are going to be 18 now. Browns are going to be 15. And Steelers are going to go up one to 17.
Mhm.
Because I don't know. I don't believe in the Patriots. Okay. So number 14, we have the Minnesota Vikings here. Um, I want your opinion on the Vikings because this is an interesting team heading into 2023, especially with their window seemingly was wide open last year, especially with the NFC kind of being garbage but not good. You know, do you think that the Vikings window is closed or is it still open with their draft free agency moves and coaching moves as well?
I honestly I kind of have a lot to say about the Vikings, but I
Okay.
feel like the Vikings, their offense is crazy good.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, KJ Osborne, Dalvin Cook. Their offense is crazy good. Like
Mm,
I feel like they're one of those teams. They'll kind of like how they were last season, where it's just like ride or die,
yeah.
ride or die on offense. Their defense just was horrible last year. There was kind of reminiscent to the 2018 Chiefs. They couldn't stop an ant if they wanted to. But, that's another team I wouldn't mind seeing Caleb Williams for, but I don't think they're in a position where they want to tank like that.
Oh
But
no, definitely not.
yeah, but their offense is crazy. Their
Yeah.
offense is crazy, and I'm really hoping that they get a good quarterback on their team. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe Malik Willis could go there and learn under
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing.
Cousins, because I do not want to see those young guys' careers be wasted. I mean, we already saw what Justin Jefferson is capable of. He's a
Right.
monster.
Right.
Um, Jordan Addison, he can be a monster too. I've seen him run routes. He looks amazing so far.
Right.
TJ Hawkinson's great tight end. Dalvin Cook, he's been a little bit on the decline, but he's still a solid running back. He's still a top 15 running back. So,
And I think
yeah,
he probably wants out too. So that's another thing to worry about.
I mean, yeah, I can name like 10 quarterbacks that would kill to have with the Vikings have an offense.
Oh yeah. Like Lamar the past few years. So but he's got a good offense now. So yeah, I honestly have to agree with you. The Vikings I did not expect them to be that good last year.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people did, but they got a lot of wins off the skin of their teeth.
Yeah.
So that's why this team is so interesting because honestly, this team could be really bad.
Yeah.
Like if stuff isn't clicking on offense, that defense is going to be thrashed every week. And I think the hiring of Brian Flores for the defensive coordinator helps, but it's like trying to motivate a dead person. It's like you could have Ray Lewis trying to, well, that's probably a bad example. You could have like somebody, the best motivational speaker to motivate a dead person, and they wouldn't get up. It's like Brian Flores is a great coach and he's a great defensive mind, but I don't think he can fix that defense. You know, um, so we're gonna have to see. But this offense is gonna have to probably be at historic numbers to even think about being in the Super Bowl. To be honest, because this could be a sneaky team to make it to the NFC Championship game. To be honest,
Yeah.
but they'd probably get thrashed by the Eagles or the 49ers.
Yeah. I mean, and plus, when you look at their schedule last year, they had a lot of trouble going against actual good teams. Like I
Yep.
think the only good team that they beat were the Bills, but the Bills defense was just off that game. So
Yep. They got thrashed by Packers. They got thrashed by the Cowboys. They let the Giants embarrass them.
yeah, the Eagles embarrassed them.
Yep. So, oh, yeah, that was bad on Monday Night Football.
Yep.
When they played good teams, they got thrashed. When they played bad teams, they struggled still, but they
Yep.
still pulled it out, because their offense was
They
amazing.
got in shootouts with bad teams. Like
Yeah.
that's so
Like
good.
their greatest comeback of NFL history is against the Colts.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that was a good comeback. Yeah.
wasn't it like 33-0?
Yeah, that was their defense is terrible.
I can't believe they even stopped them. But anyway, we're gonna move on to our number 13 team, the New York Giants. And I guess my question here is, do you believe in Daniel Jones to take him anywhere?
I don't. Um, that playoff game that they did against the Eagles was very disappointing because that was the third time they played him that season. And if you didn't, it just seemed like they didn't learn anything from the first two times. I mean,
Right.
was that a shut? I believe that was a shutout, or the Giants scored at least
No, I
seven.
think the Giants scored some, but they didn't score
Yeah,
many.
yeah, that was like that. The Eagles clearly weren't, carrying at that point when they scored, but it just seemed like the Giants didn't learn anything. And I feel like, the Cowboys are coming to be a little bit more competitive. The Eagles are, I always arguably think they're the best team in the league right now. I feel like the Giants just, I don't know. I feel like they're just, I can't rely on Danny Jones. I could just,
Mhm.
I could name 10 quarterbacks that I would choose over him,
I could
um,
name 20.
including Justin Fields. I would
I
choose
could
over.
name rookie quarterbacks and quarterbacks who aren't in the damn NFL.
Well,
But
I do want to say, I do think it's good that they gave him Darren Waller.
yeah,
Their receiving core is kind of similar to the Titans. They don't really do much, especially Kenny Galloway, who was a big disappointment. And
yeah.
it's funny because us Ravens fans wanted him at one point, but I wouldn't put my trust in Daniel Jones unless he
We
has a
really
break season. I
go
wouldn't put.
ahead. Yeah, we really settled for mid back then, huh?
Yeah.
But no, I honestly believe in you. It's gonna take a Daniel Jones breakout year to repeat what they did last year. And even last year, they were falling apart towards the end of the year. They just barely sneaked in towards the last games of the season. But you know, their defense I think is honestly on the rise. They have Saquon Barkley who's a beast, and I think Brian Dable is a really good coach as well. So that's another guy who it was like Dan Campbell, like where they want to play for him.
Mhm.
So I think that could offer up a spark to maybe even another 11-win season. Or no, they had 9 wins, 9 or 10 wins last year.
Yeah.
I forgot how many wins they had, but I don't know. Daniel Jones is just interesting because like he wasn't even that bad last year, but
Mhm.
he's just not. How do I say this? You wouldn't trust him in Philadelphia if he was down by 6 and needed a game-winning touchdown.
Right. Right.
Like the way they're down by 6 with 40 something seconds to go is a miracle in itself. It's for him to drive down the field and score a touchdown there. You just wouldn't trust him there,
Mhm.
But I don't mean to trash on Daniel Jones. I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's that good either. I think he's just average.
Yeah.
He's kind of like Flacco. He's just kind of average. But at least Flacco would perform in the playoffs. Well, he got carried by his defense and then performed in the playoffs. In 2012 when it really mattered. When Ray Lewis, career was on the line. So I'll give Joe that, and Joe Flacco was good in the playoffs after that as well. But I think there's going to be a lot on Saquon Barkley's shoulders. And I don't even think he got a contract, did he?
No, he didn't. They were actually thinking about franchise tagging him, I think, or
So
just
yeah, don't give the star the up. It's like when they gave Tannehill money over Henry,
yeah.
so that's interesting. So we're just gonna move on. Number 12, the Las Vegas, I'm sorry, the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, this team was a few stops away from being in the divisional round, probably playing, I want to say the Bills. No, the
Chiefs.
Chiefs. They would have been playing the Chiefs. Oh yeah, they would have been playing the Chiefs because no wild card team won. They would have been the only yeah. So they would have been going to Kansas City. I guess they would have made it a little bit more interesting than the Jags did, but I think Justin Herbert's so good. Like Justin Herbert has so much talent, but that defense lets him down a lot.
Yes, and I wanted to say it's weird about the defense because they added J.C. Jackson,
Yeah,
back. They had Nick Bosa. They have like almost an all-star defense, and yet that was what let them down. I mean, they had a 30-point lead against the Jags, and
I don't think it was 30. It was something ridiculous, but
yeah,
like
and
it was
they
still
blew it
bad.
all. And it was just Trevor Lawrence threw 4 interceptions in that game.
Yeah, it was
And
bad.
I don't like it was just if you throw 4 picks and you still win, that's just a miracle. And it's I feel bad for Chargers fans because stuff like this happens all the time to them.
Yeah.
But just like I said, they have way too much talent to not be competing for Super Bowls. Like
Right.
they should be in the AFC Championship game with the talent that they have. I mean,
And then they got, Keenan Allen,
yeah,
they just
Mike
got Quentin
Williams,
Johnston.
yeah, Quentin Johnston,
Austin
Austin.
Eckler's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, again, just like the Vikings, I know quarterbacks that would kill to have the weapons that they have. I mean, they are
Yep.
just they're loaded. They're loaded
Yeah.
on both sides, and it's just like if they don't do anything this year, I think it's time for Brandon Staley to go.
Oh yeah. A lot of Chargers fans want him gone.
I,
So
I, and I honestly, he just when I look at him, he just doesn't seem like a leader. He really
yeah, oh
doesn't.
yeah. You know what's kind of irritating about the NFL?
What?
Players will be set up for failure and and get cut immediately, but coaches will be set up for success and fail and get multiple chances.
Yeah.
That's kind of irritating. That's really irritating actually because there's a constant failure. And I know there's probably a difference between the two because a lot of coaching has to do with team morale and
Yeah.
stuff like that, but I don't know. I feel like we give up on players too easily, but are easy to hang on to coaches. Especially when the fans know. I bet you if the Chargers either don't make the playoffs or lose in the first round again, and if Brandon Staley's not out, what are they truly doing? Like, what are they doing?
Right.
Because Herbert might want out. Because let's say Herbert wants out because they keep Brandon Staley, and I don't think he'll ever leave the Chargers. But given the scenario that he does leave, because they provide him great weapons, but they have a terrible coach. I
Mhm.
mean, I mean, watch him go to like the freaking Raiders because they built a team around like Garoppolo in his last few years, and then Garoppolo retires, and then they bring in Herbert or something, and then he goes to divisional foe. So it's like this is all going to be on Brandon Staley's shoulders, and unfortunately, probably all on Justin Herbert's shoulders too, because he got all the blame for that. But I do agree, that yeah, he should have put up points. You know, I think that at that point when you're winning that big in a playoff game, you play a little bit more conservative, you know, and the playbook and the play calls may have changed a little bit to where they're playing more conservative,
Mhm.
but the defense didn't do its end of the bargain. And that's I don't know. And I'll give it to them. JC Jackson, I believe, was hurt. And I also believe Joey Bosa struggled with injuries, and so did Derwin James. So we're gonna see, how it's gonna be, for them this season. I think they should give the Chiefs a run for their money because of how much talent they have, and it seems like they always should, but they don't.
Yeah.
So like it's gonna be like it seems like the Chargers are always in like second or like or in the AFC West and like one game away from the Chiefs, and then they lose a dumb game and they lose another dumb game and the Chiefs are winning. The Chiefs are winning. They just take away the division. Like
Mhm.
the Chargers are the Chiefs' biggest threat, and I don't know. It's gonna take a lot.
Yeah.
Not even really a lot. It's just gonna take just give the talent that they have, given the talent they have, they should be a team that's contending for the Super Bowl each year.
Yeah.
So we put him at 13 because this team is a top 10 team in heart, but it's just gonna it's gonna be on the defensive shoulders, Brandon Staley's shoulders, and Justin Herbert's shoulders. So we're gonna see how they're gonna do, and this team should win 12 games this year.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on to not top 10, but we're gonna go to number 11, the Seattle Seahawks. And this is another interesting thing because is Geno Stone the guy? Geno Stone. Geno Smith. Is Geno Smith the guy?
I feel like definitely with they added on to his receiving core. They got him JSN. So now he has JSN, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. The running back, I think his name is Kenneth
Walker.
Kenneth Walker. So they have a pretty good offense. And they have a pretty good defense as well. I mean, they have Tariq Woolen. They drafted a very high cornerback in this past draft. So
yeah,
I feel like the Seahawks can. I don't think they'll win the NFC West. I think the 49ers will, but they'll definitely be second. They definitely can see them definitely being like a fifth seed, and winning 11 games. So I think Geno Smith has a pretty good year. He had a pretty good year last year. I think he had like 26 touchdowns and like 8 picks. He was very efficient. So I think he can be a pretty good year.
I agree. I think that that wide receiving core is just amazing. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and JSN. That's just not fair. And then you add Kenneth Walker, and then their defense is getting better. I think, like you said, they added, I think, Christian Gonzalez, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that's the Patriots that added Christian Gonzalez.
Who did they get then? I forgot who they got. This team should be pretty good. And honestly, they're going to be in the running for Super Bowl contenders either this year or next year, because just think about their rebuild took 1 year.
Yeah,
1 dang year. I'm like, the Orioles should have learned from that. But
by the way, their cornerback was Devin Witherspoon, but they drafted.
Oh yeah, Witherspoon. That's right. So yeah, I mean, and then they already got Tariq Woolen. And Jamal Adams is still their safety, right?
I think so. Yeah.
And then they re-signed Bobby Wagner, so that's a good veteran presence for them up the middle. He went back to Seattle, I think.
Yep, Jamal Adams. Yep, he's on the set.
Yep. So yeah, they have a pretty talented team. And they play in that raucous crowd in Seattle. They're going to be rocking this year. And they have a better team than they did last year. So this could look. I'm going to make a bold claim and say that this team honestly could make a run for the NFC Championship game. There's a lot of talent on this team, and Geno Stone finally gets decent playoff experience this year, or last year, I should say. Well, I guess it was this year because it was the games that happened this year. But this team could run for the NFC Championship and also could make the run for the NFC West crown. And they're going to give the 49ers a fight. And because the Cardinals are out of the picture most likely, and who's the other team in the NFC West that I'm forgetting?
49ers, Rams.
The Rams. And the Rams aren't going to fight for it. So it's going to be between the Seahawks and 49ers. And I think that with the 49ers quarterback, issues a little bit, they have, Seahawks could go in there and just sneak in and be like, all right, well, thanks for the division, and we're on to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
So a 3 or 4 seed. In fact, they could be so good to the point where they're a 2 seed because the NFC is not that great. So Seahawks 2 seed, watch out, in my opinion. That was my hot take. Seahawks 2 seed this year. Lions 3 seed, in my opinion. And then 4 seed, who cares? It's NFC South. Probably like the Falcons. So anyway, we're finally entering our top 10. At number 10, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm interested to see how Trevor Lawrence develops this year. He showed a lot of flashes last year of being almost kind of like an elite quarterback, especially with that ridiculous comeback that he made versus us, and then the win versus the Cowboys. And he honestly took the Chiefs to the brink if Agnew didn't fumble, on the goal line. Yeah. So I don't know if that would have tied the game or brought it closer, but, that definitely made it harder for them to come back. So I don't know. This team, I think 100% will win the NFC South. AFC South. They probably could win the NFC South too. But this team is most likely going to be the AFC South champions. But I do want to remind everybody that They did win the AFC South back in 2017, and then fell off the map the next year, and then really fell off the map after that. So, do you think this is going to be the same scenario where like they're good and then they fall apart, or they're going to be good and they're going to stay good?
I wouldn't be surprised if they fell apart, but I feel like this year, I feel like they'll be competitive this year. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they fell apart. They they're kind of really unexperienced,
Mm-hmm.
unproven. I meant to say they're kind of really unproven, especially their offense. But I feel like in terms of pieces, they have good pieces, better pieces than they had then. Um, they have a great running back, Travis Etienne.
Yeah,
Uh, they have a better quarterback. He's Trevor Lawrence is miles better than Blake Bortles.
yeah, probably light years better than Blake Bortles. I
Yeah.
think you're better than Blake Bortles. Our dads are probably better than Blake Bortles. Look, our dads might go in there and throw like 17 picks, but Blake Bortles will top him and throw like 100.
Nathan Peterman is better than Blake Bortles. But
I don't
anyway,
know about all that. I mean, that's Nathan Peters is probably the worst quarterback to ever come into the NFL.
anyways, I feel like this is a better Jaguars team than the one that went to the AFC Championship against the Patriots. So
Yeah.
I hope they don't fall off the map. But
Mhm.
I mean the defense that defense that the Jaguars
I
had
know. I was gonna say that defense is
that was
unbeatable. That
crazy.
defense was insane. Put that defense on the Jaguars now. We're talking about Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you're done? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
that was
yeah, I pretty much agree with you in everything you said. It's gonna be what is Trevor Lawrence gonna what is his jump gonna be in year three? That's year three, right? Yeah,
year. Yeah,
his
I
year is
think
his third year, right?
yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna see like what kind of jump he's gonna make because you know you're going to continue to jump, especially like in your third, fourth, and fifth year. You want to make the jump from your rookie year to your sophomore year. If you're not good in the first year, you want to make up for your second year and make the playoffs, sneak into the playoffs. But even if you miss the third year, you want to make to the playoffs. And they already had the schedule. They already made the playoffs, so now they got that experience. They made it to the divisional game. This year, fight for the AFC Championship game. You don't win there next year, fight for the Super Bowl. Next year, fight for the Super Bowl win. It's just going to be continuous progress, and it's going to be interesting to see where Trevor Lawrence goes in that direction. Because it's all really in his hands. They gave him the keys to the franchise. Let's see if he can handle it well, better than Balake Bortles. At number 9, we had the Dallas Cowboys, and such a disappointment every year. I feel like every year they're the Browns of the NFC. But they're a better Browns. Like the Browns want to be them, but like they always find a way to mess it up.
Yeah.
Always. And I don't know if it's Dak Prescott's fault. I don't know if it's Mike McCarthy's fault, which it probably is. He's been carried all his career. And what do you think their issue is? Like before we even get into the team, like what do you think their playoff issues are? Is it Dak? Is it Mike? Is it just Jerry Jones not putting the right people in the field? Like what is it?
I think it's a combination of all of those things. I
Uh-huh.
feel like the Cowboys are a team that is driven on ego.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Like they're the biggest, they have the biggest guns in the room, have the best everything in the room, and time again we proved that that's not true.
Yeah,
And even if you have the biggest stars in the room,
right,
I mean, still won't get you anywhere. I mean, still won't
right,
get you a championship. Doesn't necessarily guarantee that. But
right.
I feel like Mike McCarthy definitely does hold them back. I mean, that's why
Yeah,
the Packers got rid of him. I mean, a lot of his coaching decisions are questionable. Um, and honestly, they just have a lot of talent on that team to just continue to be losing in the wild card or the divisional every year. I mean,
right.
I really like CD Lamb. They have Tony Pollard now who's taking over full time for the running back.
Yeah.
Added Brandon Cooks, still got Michael Gallup. They have a pretty solid team as always every year. They have a really good defense too. So, you know,
To interject here, Orioles won.
oh, it was one. Okay,
Yep. Batista didn't get Judge out again though, but I think he got a base hit, but the Orioles won. So again, live reaction here. So that'll be fun for our next video. But can I get your opinion here? Like, can I get your opinion on my take here?
yeah,
I think Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than when people make him out to be. It's just in the big moments, he does seem to fold a little bit, in my opinion, because there's a specific play I remember. I think Troy Aikman broke it down where it's the third quarter or third or fourth quarter, and they're down by either like a few scores or just one. And Prescott either, I think he checks it down to Ezekiel Elliott, but has the guy wide open really for the touchdown down the field. And let's be real, the playoff quarterbacks don't miss that. Patrick Mahomes is going to make that throw. He's going to make that score. And I think, in my opinion, Dak needs to live up a little bit more to his contract and his expectations in the playoffs.
Right.
But I guess I want your opinion. What do you think about my take there on Dak Prescott?
I feel like he does fold in those big moments, and I feel like that's what kind of I feel like the Cowboys realize that too.
Yeah.
It just seems like he always is scared to make that throw, or he's always hesitant to make that throw. And it's like, you have the weapons to support you. You have CeeDee Lamb. I mean, Michael Gallup is no scrub.
Right.
And honestly, no disrespect to Zeke, but I don't see how you could miss that wide open guy and check it down to a declining Zeke.
Yeah.
So I feel like in those big moments he does shy away, and I feel like that will always be the knock on him. And it's crazy because he wasn't like that when he first came in. I mean, I remember 16, Cowboys were running up the gates when Dak Prescott came in, and they were looking dangerous. I was scared of them. I was scared when the Ravens played them. I thought it was going to be a blowout. It wasn't, but it just seems like he's lost that edge that he came in with in 2016. He had a big chip on his shoulder, and he does seem hesitant in those moments.
Right.
And I was honestly scared for him when the backup
injury. Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush. It almost was feeling like Cooper Rush was going to take his job.
It really felt like that, yeah. Well, I'm glad he didn't, because I think Dak Prescott also deserves his flowers. I think that he is a very good quarterback in this league, but I think what's going to make him one of the top guys is just performing in those big moments. And I think that's what people hold back on Lamar on. But I think Lamar's situation is more of what's the talent around him. Dak Prescott's never had a lack of talent around him.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between the two. Is Lamar needs a little bit more help around him in these big moments because he's willing to make the big plays, but Dak needs to step up. I mean, if you're a Cowboys fan, you might be mad at me for saying this, but it's the truth. Dak needs to step up in these moments because, the only person that can lead you is not the coach in these situations. It's the guy who's slinging the rock.
Yeah.
If your defense is letting you down and not getting stops, it's your job to go in that field and score and counter with the team. Every team you're playing, no matter who you're playing, get the noise out of the way, or just focus on you and your team. And I don't know, I feel like maybe he tries to make the big play too much or something. I don't know what it is. It's just this needs to be the year he needs to perform in the playoffs, for me to consider them a top 5 team. They have a top 5 team talent, but Micah Parsons is a beast, best defensive player probably in the NFL for all I know.
Yeah,
or at least one of them. So, and then they got, they have a pretty good defense behind, Dak Prescott. They always have good offensive line. Tony Pollard's a great running back. I think he's still there. And the wide receiving core is really good. In fact, not probably great, so it's all on Dak Prescott's shoulders. And it would be nice for them to have a better coach, but I just wish gonna have to see, they do this year. At number 8, we have the Jets. And this is, I know people might be hypocritical because we put teams, as prove-it teams. But for me, this team has way more talent than prove-it teams. But I still would like them to prove it. Would you agree with that?
I do. I mean, especially the receivers that they had. They had big aspirations for the receiving core this offseason, and they didn't really hit on them. I mean, they wanted OBJ. They wanted DeAndre Hopkins, and they missed out.
They traded one of them too, I believe.
Yeah,
one of the receivers to the Browns.
Elijah Moore. They let go of him. And so they're really relying on Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard and even Randall Cobb, to be great this season. And it kind of feels like the Packers 2.0. I mean, Alan Lazard, I feel like he's very good, but he wasn't a wide receiver 1 by no means. That was all Tay Adams. Um, and so it'll be kind of interesting to see his role in this Jets offense. I feel like they
Mhm.
definitely, if they got OBJ, which thankfully they didn't, yeah, I'll be saying, yeah, this is a certified Super Bowl contender, but they do
Right,
have a lot to prove, especially with that offense. I feel like
right,
the defense is okay. Sauce is going to be Sauce. And they have Quentin Williams, still there. So
right.
yeah, but
Honestly, I think the defense is more than okay. I think they're borderline really good, in my opinion. I think a lot of maybe their woes on defense, maybe because the quarterback is always getting them off the field, getting them on the field all the time because Zach Wilson was freaking terrible.
yeah,
So I think with Aaron Rodgers on the field, Aaron Rodgers likes to have the long drives. Like quick plays here, run here, quick play, run play, quick play, quick play. He's not going to test the ball down the field all the time. That's just Aaron Rodgers' motto or MO or whatever. And it'll give a good chance for the Jets defense to rest, instead of having to be out there every freaking drive, it feels like, and yeah, I think this team could easily be an AFC championship team as well. It's just gonna be how far is Rodgers going to take them, so um and how well is the deep wide receivers going to step up,
yeah.
another thing. So at number 7 we have the Miami Dolphins, and there's a lot of teams in the NFL. It's like, where are these quarterbacks going to take them? And I think this is another situation like that. Got a lot of star power on defense, got a lot of star power on offense. How far is Tua going to take them? That's my question.
Oh, um, honestly, I feel like Tua can be good for them. He was very good for them last season when he played, and when they kept him not hurt. And I feel like if they keep him protected, if they keep him from not getting hit too hard and not getting touched, I feel like the Dolphins gonna be really good this year. I mean, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill is an amazing wide receiver duo. And I mean, Tyreek Hill, I think he said before, he's got like, 1 or 2 seasons left in him. He's not going to be there that long. He wants to preserve his health, and still have a life outside of the game. So, we could possibly see their Super Bowl window possibly kind of closing a little bit. I mean,
Right,
because you can't really replace Tyreek Hill like that when he's gone. Um,
right.
so, they have a great defense, great offense. This should be their year. Hopefully it's not, hopefully it's ours, but this should be their year. I mean, they have a very great team. And with
Yeah.
Tua at quarterback, they'll be one of the top teams.
Yeah, I mean that's easily agreeable. I think that for Tua, the biggest thing for him is just gonna be to stay healthy. You know, I don't like the way the defenders were slinging him around last year, and it seemed like they were purposely going for his head. But I just feel like, you know, Tua has the capabilities and tools of being a really good quarterback in the NFL,
Mhm.
but it's just going to be health wise. If he stays healthy, this team is going to be in it. And I think a lot of Tua's struggles last year were due to, him being hurt,
Yeah,
him being forced out there, and I think that puts a big question on their coach, to be honest. He's praised as this funny, quirky type of dude, but a lot of people don't question the way he handled the situation. In my opinion, I think this situation was handled very, kind of suspect. How do you say it? Not like suspect almost.
yeah,
Like, I don't know. Like, as a head coach, you're not a doctor. You're not a surgeon. You're not, if what do they call it? I forgot the word for it, but but he has I'm assuming he has the final word for it, for him to play. And I think that, with the doctors clearing him was a mistake for one. If that was my franchise quarterback, I'd want more evidence and proof that he was okay to go out
yeah,
there and play. And he obviously wasn't.
yeah,
So I think that puts a lot of questions on their coach. What's his name? Mike McDaniel. So,
yeah,
and it really should, but it didn't, and if that stuff happens again, I mean, that's fireable offense.
yeah.
Sorry. No matter how quirky, funny, or goofy you are, or a good coach, that's a fireable offense.
Yeah. I mean, and it seemed like sometimes he just kind of gave off the attitude like he didn't really care that much.
Well, he always looked like he was, blazed out of his mind. So like he
Yeah.
probably didn't care besides the weed he was getting to at home.
I mean, and I mean, they have Teddy Bridgewater as their backup quarterback, and look what happened the last game of the season when he started. It was just,
He was terrible.
yeah, it was terrible. So,
So at number 6, we have the San Francisco 49ers. This team, could easily be top three, but that team is good. Like that rivals the Eagles so good.
Yeah.
But their quarterback situation is such a mess.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing with Trey Lance? What are you doing with Purdy? Is he going to play? Like, what do you if you were a 49ers fan, how would you feel going to the season? Knowing you have that team, but knowing you have that quarterback situation.
Listen, I feel like if Trey Lance can be what they thought he was going to be, this is a top three team. I mean, because his play style, he can run. He has a big arm. I saw some of the throws he did at North Dakota. I think that's where he played college at. Um, if he can be decent like how Brock Purdy was, this could be
Mhm.
a team right back in the NFC Championship game. And I
Mhm.
feel bad for the 49ers because all these years they've been good. They've just been missing a consistent quarterback.
Right.
I mean, and that was they kind of scared me this offseason because I saw so many people were like, imagine Lamar on the 49ers, imagine Deshaun on the 49ers. They were Super Bowl contenders, the number one team. I
Right.
mean, this team is really good. So I feel like I'm really hoping that Trey Lance can be good because I feel like the 49ers deserve it. I feel like Trey Lance play style fits this offense more better than Brock Purdy,
Yeah.
because they use a lot of guys in like two different ways. They use Debo Samuel as a running back, but also as a receiver a lot. Just like how they use Christian McCaffrey as a receiver and a running back.
Mhm.
So I feel like Trey Lance, he could be a runner and a passer hybrid type quarterback in this offense.
Right. Some weird stuff on my drink. I need to start drinking that. But anyway, imagine they just said, "Screw it, we're tanking for Caleb Williams." Oh my God, Caleb Williams would be. He probably win Super Bowl year one. Um, a person, if Trey Lance isn't the guy, I'd like to see Malik Willis get a shot. Maybe
Yo, yeah, yeah,
that'd be interesting.
yeah.
Because if he isn't living up to his name, then maybe you can just hand it off and or do whatever. So, and Debo Samuel didn't seem to have as much of a breakout season as he did in 2021. So, but I think he's still a really good receiver.
Mhm.
The running back receiver hybrid is really creative. So, yeah, I mean, this team's ceiling is the Super Bowl, but with their quarterback situation, they're freaking their floor is probably like a first round exit.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I don't know. I think the floor really should be the NFC Championship game. Because I can't say first round exit just because um the NFC is not that good. So I think that they're probably an NFC Championship lock. It should be at least, but I I don't know. Like I don't think Brock Purdy is the answer, and I'm excited to see what Trey Lance is going to do. Because I do think Trey Lance is he should be a decent quarterback for them. It's
Mhm.
just he's going to need to stay healthy and just stay consistent. And I'm just worried because he doesn't have any playoff experience. He doesn't have any of that. No experience in big games. So it's going to be interesting to see how they react. And this could be another year of disappointment because Trey Lance has no experience in any of those situations.
Right.
So just something to think about. At number 5, we have yours truly, the Baltimore Ravens, and we probably have a lot to say about them because we know them the best. Give me your take on the Ravens this year. Honestly, just give me everything.
Every everything is revamped. The offense is revamped. Um, have a revamped receiving core. I feel like this is another season for Mike Mike McDonald to get the defensive coordinator position under his belt,
Yep.
and also kind of revamped in a way is this is going to be his first full season with Roquan Smith.
Yep.
He'll have even more time to really get in the lab and lock in with each other.
I
Uh,
agree.
how Hamilton's gonna have a bigger role this season. We
Yeah.
moved Brandon Stevens back to safety, his more natural position. So
Mhm.
in a lot of ways, you could say the defense is revamped too.
Right.
We drafted Trenton Simpson. So uh, I'm very excited. I feel like we have
Yeah.
a lot of young energy on this team in both offensively and defensively. And we have guys that have to prove themselves, like how we mentioned in our previous videos. Bateman, he's gonna have to prove himself on offense that he is worthy to be the number one wide receiver when OBJ goes away. Just like and Patrick Queen, he's gonna have to prove himself because we drafted Simpson, his possible replacement.
Right.
So I'm expecting a very good season out of Patrick Queen, a prove season, not necessarily for him to stay with the Ravens, but for him to get a bigger contract elsewhere. So it's kind
Mhm.
of like a win-win.
Right.
So we have everything is very revamped, everything is fresh, and this is the most excited I've been for Raven season since 2020. Like
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly have to agree. It's going to be interesting to see if we have any growing pains with Todd Monken early in the year. But this defense should continue to be elite. Fast and strong. Smart as well. And the Ravens have no excuse not to make it to either the NFC Championship game, AFC Championship game, or the Super Bowl. Honestly, if we don't make it to either of those games, it's kind of a bust year for us. We already posted our schedule reaction, the schedule prediction, how far we'll make it, and we believe this team's AFC Championship worthy. Are they Super Bowl worthy? That's still to be determined. But this team definitely should be one of the top teams in the AFC to finish the year.
Yeah.
And if they're not, if they're another 10-win team, that's just going to be disappointing. And we're going to start pointing fingers at people like maybe Harbaugh or maybe EDC. I don't know where, but hopefully not Lamar. Maybe it will be Lamar. I don't know what it'll be. But this team just needs to be an AFC Championship team this year, not NFC Championship game. But there's a lot of talent on this team as well. Like we have a sneaky talented roster, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Like everyone knows, the Eagles have a good roster. Everyone knows the 49ers have a good roster and Bengals and whatever. But the Ravens have a really good roster right behind them, and it's not far off. So that's just my opinion on the Ravens this year. And AFC Championship game or bust, really.
Mhm.
So I think this could easily be a 13-win team as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of change, but a lot of things also stay the same. So we're just gonna see. Um, At number 4, we have the Bills, Buffalo Bills, and I have a lot to say about them, but my freaking light's acting up again. So just say your thing again, and then I gotta fix it real quick, okay?
Yeah. So the Bills, they have a very good roster. They still have Josh Allen, who's arguably he's one of the top quarterbacks in the game right now. They have Stephon Diggs, one of the top 5 receivers in the game right now. Gabe Davis, I really like Gabe Davis. I feel like he's a great wide receiver number 2. Um, they drafted Dalton Kincaid. I feel like he matches well with Dawson Knox. So they have a great tight end combo, a great 1-2 combo at receiver. And they were heavily linked to get DeAndre Hopkins this offseason, and it hasn't happened yet. It probably won't happen this offseason, but I can imagine, in the middle of the season, when teams do their middle of the season trades, I can imagine them in the sweepstakes for a wide receiver, and maybe it is D Hop. I can actually imagine a couple of teams in the sweepstakes with D Hop, but they have a solid roster as always, and their Super Bowl window is still open, but it is also slowly closing. They'll have a healthier defense this season with Tre'Davious White being back at cornerback. They think they still do have Von Miller. Um, they have Matt Milano, who's a very good linebacker. Um, they lost Edmonds, which is a very big loss in my opinion.
Yeah,
And I think they still have Jordan Poyer.
man, they're gonna get, I think they're gonna get DeMar Hamlin back too this year.
They're going to Damar Hamlin back. So,
Hmm.
like I said, they have a very solid roster, and
Right.
they're definitely top 5 as they are on our list. So yeah, that's all I got to say.
This team, honestly, they're in the same boat as us, but with more expectations. I think this is the Super Bowl year or bust again. It just feels like when Josh Allen comes to the playoffs, you think about elite play in the playoffs. The only year he really did that was 2021.
Mhm.
2020, he wasn't very good in either of the games that he's played in, all 3 of them. In 2020 and 2019, obviously he wasn't good because he was a rookie and he was raw still. And in 2022, he single-handedly let the Dolphins get back to the game, like legit single-handedly, let them fumble that touchdown and all that crap, and then looked like crap versus the Bengals in his own environment, in his own elements. So I don't know. Josh Allen has been the biggest playoff disappointment in a little bit, in my opinion, because he's another one where it's like he's got a team around him, offensively and defensively, but still fails in the big moments, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is a very talented quarterback. He can be very wild and kind of dumb sometimes, but overall, he's a clutch dude in my opinion.
Mhm.
But the playoffs is where it's at. And if it wasn't for 13 seconds, and then overtime, I mean, this team's in the AFC Championship game versus the Bengals in 2021. And I honestly think they could have beat them with the way Josh Allen was playing in the postseason that year.
Yeah.
Like that was the Bills' year right there. And they
Mhm.
got taken away from them by the Chiefs very quickly. So honestly, with the AFC is just getting stronger every year. It gets stronger and gets nastier and gets grittier. And every year that they don't win, they're going to continue to fall down the ranks for me. The Jets and the Dolphins are just on the rise, and who knows where the Pats are going to be in a few years. But look, the Jets or the Dolphins could sneak the Bills out of a freaking home playoff game and win the division. Honestly, meaning the Bills will get probably the fifth seed, but or the fourth seed, or I mean the fifth seed or the sixth seed, depending on where the Dolphins or Jets finish. Because I mean, let's be real here. The Bills have a real possibility of being in third place this year.
Yeah.
And not like a bad third place team, like a 12 probably win, 11, 12 win third place team. But I mean, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that the DeMar Hamlin situation probably rocked their season last year. It probably knocked it off course,
Mhm.
but that's all gone now.
Yeah.
DeMar Hamlin's back on the field. And unless something happens again, which I pray it doesn't, this team needs to win the Super Bowl for me to take them seriously. Like, yeah, congratulations, you could beat us in the regular season, but like, what are you doing in the postseason?
Mhm.
So he's only been to one championship game. He's lost in the divisional round 2 of the 4 years he's been in the postseason, and one was to the Chiefs and one was to the Bengals. And really, the two top teams in the AFC are the Chiefs and Bengals, obviously. But the Bills' window to me is closing. They got to open that. They got to open that back up because the Bengals out past them, Chiefs out past them, obviously. The Jets and the Dolphins are probably and could. I mean, no, the Jets and the Dolphins. Did I say Pats?
No, you didn't.
Oh, I saw. So yeah, Jets and Dolphins could easily overtake them. And let's say the Ravens make it to the championship game and the Bills don't. We're going to pass them. So it's just it's interesting. It's interesting
And
to see what they're going to do this year.
and I just want to say, I actually remember in some games during the regular season that they were supposed to win, they looked very shaky. And like the
Yeah,
Packers game, let's just be honest, they were supposed to thump the Packers that night on Sunday Night
yeah,
Football, and they let them stay around in the game.
yep,
And even the Jets game, I think, was the very next week after that, they let
yep,
the Jets beat them. Josh Allen threw crazy interceptions to Sauce. So,
yep,
they let the Vikings beat them too on a crazy catch. So yeah.
yep. So I don't know. It's just I don't know. Their window's very much closing, but they need to open that back up. I hope they don't because the Ravens need to. So anyway, we're going to our top three now. At number three, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, and they could easily be top two. They could be over the Chiefs, but you can't bet against the Chiefs. And the Bengals are going to be a problem for a while. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when Joe Burrow needs a contract and what they do with other position players. But what are your thoughts on the Bengals this year, and if they're
Um,
going to be a Super Bowl winning team this year?
I feel like they're gonna be up there. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the AFC Championship game again. They just have a very talented roster. Joe Burrow is good. I believe they'll still have Jamari Chase and T Higgins for at least together for at least this season. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
they have Orlando Brown.
Yeah,
Uh, so they have a good offensive line now. Defense is still solid. They still got guys like Sam Hubbard, Logan Wilson, stuff like that. So they're just an all around good team. I wouldn't
right.
expect any less than 11 wins from them, any less than 12 wins. I feel like they're
Mm-hmm.
just that good, unfortunately. So yeah.
Right. So I have a question for you about Joe Burrow, actually. As we've seen Joe Burrow's fourth quarter playoff stats not aligned with maybe his first three, the first three quarters. Is that a concern that maybe he's not as clutch as people think?
Um, I don't. I feel like he is clutch. I mean, I'll be honest. as a Ravens fan, I think Joe's a very good quarterback, and I feel like he is clutch. I don't think he's not clutch. I just feel like he can get kind of rattled easily, especially if you put pressure on him, if you start
Yeah,
hitting. I feel like those stats represent that. I feel like, he was I do know in that Chiefs game he was hit a lot. He was
yeah,
pressured a lot. And so that led him to throw that one stupid interception. I think he was trying to force the ball to Higgins or Chase. So I feel like, those stats he was probably pressured or hit a lot and that made him
yeah,
do that. But I'm not concerned about Burrow at all. I feel like, he's okay.
yeah. I'd agree. He is a very talented quarterback, and he's going to give the Ravens fits for many years because I'm pretty sure he's going to sign his contract and everything. But I think the Ravens do have something on him. I think they play very well when he plays. Besides 2021. And but that's when we had all the
That
backups and practice squad guys, and they did beat us pretty good in the first game, that year, but the second game was even worse because of the even worse talent on the team. Lamar wasn't even playing, so I believe Joe Burrow was 1-2 versus Lamar, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah.
So yeah, and then but when Lamar's not playing, I believe he's what 3-0. No, 4-0, twice in 2021 and twice this year.
Yeah.
So overall versus the Ravens, he's 5-2. But when Lamar plays, he's 1-2. So
That's what really
that's
counts. Yeah.
yeah. So that's interesting. Um. Anyway, we're gonna move to the number 2 team now, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you think they repeat this year?
I do not. I do not, and I'm partially saying this because I don't want to see the same teams win, but I honestly think that there are enough talented teams to knock them out this year. I feel like, this might be one of the years where they get knocked out early in the divisional. And, we see a team like the Ravens or the Bills, take that next step up and get to the Super Bowl. And even if they do get to the Super Bowl, I feel like teams like the 49ers or Eagles, will be well equipped to get revenge on them, and beat them. So I don't think that this is the Chiefs' year. I'm really hoping not because I feel like a lot of other teams have better talent than them, especially at the receiver position and defense. So yeah, I don't think it's a repeat.
Hey, what about? Do you think the teams don't have? Do they have enough talent to beat them? But do they have the experience? Experience matters a lot more in the playoffs,
I think
maybe than talent
in
does.
terms I think in terms of experience, I think the Bills have experience,
Bill
Bengals
Bengals,
have experience. Um, Eagles have experience, 49ers have experience. Um, I think those teams right there are the ones that could beat them. I won't say us yet. We kind of do, but not really.
right,
I feel like we have experience in the fact of the Chiefs' play style,
right,
but when it comes to those playoff moments, we don't yet because we haven't got that far.
right. Exactly. I agree. And I mean the Chiefs. I mean, honestly, while you said they're divisional knockout, I think they're going to be in the AFC Championship again. Just because I don't bet against these teams anymore. I've betted against them before, and I'm done doing it. I mean, I'm not betting against the Homes ever again. So I think if you want to get to Super Bowl, you're going through Arrowhead. So that's probably how it's going to be for a long time. Um, and the top team now for in the NFL we have is the Philadelphia Eagles. It's pretty simple. I mean, they had the best roster in the damn league.
Yeah, I mean, they drafted Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. They have a ferocious defense yet again.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they couldn't keep Chauncey Gardner Johnson. What I believe is they could have very much kept him. I don't know what was going on there, but they're to keep Darius Slay and James Bradbury, so that's a
Right.
win. Still have AJ Brown, top 10 wide receiver in the league. Devontae
Right.
Smith, really good. Um, they have at running back, they have
Miles Sanders.
no.
No. Who did they sign?
He's a good running back. I know. DeAndre Swift. They have DeAndre Swift at
Yeah,
running back.
yeah, yeah,
So they have a very good offense, really good offense.
yeah.
Best in the league, like how we said. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it's any debate, that this is the best team in the league. This obviously could be given to the Chiefs just because of the Super Bowl champions, but I mean, I think the Eagles just have such a talented roster, and Jalen Hurts now has the experience in the playoffs, Super Bowl talent, Super Bowl experience, and I mean, this is this should be their year, honestly, but we're gonna see, honestly. So, that's really all I got to say about that, and that's all we have for the power rankings. It's probably gonna be a long one.
Yeah.
But we wanted to get this out. This should be a weekly thing when the season comes out. So just expect this after training camp, as well. Another one of these. And do you have any last thoughts about these power rankings?
Oh no,
Any
we
questions?
covered everything. We covered everything.
All right. Well, that's all I got. Oh, that's all I got. That's all we got. With this. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you can. And we're Birds of Prey, and we're out.
Bro.